It's October 12th, 2019, and this is episode 10 of Plane Savers Down Under. Today we're at the Temora Aviation Museum. This is an incredible place. It's like Benalla. It's the home of an ex-RAAF training school during the Second World War, but is now home to the Temora Aviation Museum. And the reason this museum is so fantastic is all the aircraft fly. We have Spitfires, we have Tiger Moths, we have Boomerangs, Meteors. And a very interesting thing has happened with this museum. You'll see a whole range of aircraft today, and most of those aircraft have been gifted to the Royal Australian Air Force. They'll still remain here and be maintained here, but they'll fall under the RAAF, and with the RAAF's 100th anniversary coming up, there's nothing more than such a significant addition to its history. And here's the plaque commemorating the men who trained here and who lost their lives here at 10 Elementary Flying School. Okay, here's the flight line today, and these are some of the aircraft that will be flying. There's the BT-13, the Spitfire, Wirraway, Boomerang, over there's an O2, and then we have the Tiger Moth, and I'll wander around there to get the other side. And from this side we've got the Ryan, again the Wirraway and the Boomerang, the O2, the Meteor and the Hudson. They'll be in the flying lineup today. So I'll slow down a little bit and give you all a look at each of those particular aircraft. So you'll finally see a Boomerang that's flying as opposed to the ones we've seen so far that have been in restoration phase, and the same with the Wirraway. And I think you'll believe the Ryan is in magnificent condition, but then again all the aircraft here are. And here's a close-up of the Ryan in the background, the Boomerang, and a beautifully restored Tiger Moth. Behind there is a Spitfire, and I'm trying to remember whether that's yeah, it's a Mark 8, that one, and it's done in the famous grey nurse colour scheme of Bobby Gibbs, who fought in the African campaign, or North African campaign, and in New Guinea. Right, here we are in the hangar. We've got a Mark 16 here under a maintenance. It normally is flying, so it is definitely a flying aircraft. In the back there is the Vampire, and you can see that it's well on its way to flying again. And the one that I'm waiting for is the Canberra. Yes, I'll continue on now with the Canberra. I don't know whether these are the engines that have been returned. They were waiting for the overhauled engines to come back, Avons from England, and it's due to fly very early next year, and it will be the only Canberra flying in Australia and one of very few flying anywhere in the world.
Individual early cams are arranged in an angular fashion. A lot of the modern ones don't have individual cams. It's one vertical.
And here's a cutaway of an Avon engine for you. Don't worry, I can go over your head. Remember, we saw the centrifugal engines before, and this is a completely different technology. And this is a good cutaway example of the difference between the two types of engines. It's definitely a beautiful aircraft. wouldn't we all love to have a restoration hangar like this? Ours is as big as this, but not quite as well set out to restore the boat. Anyway, we may do with what we've got. Unfortunately, I can't get any closer to the Merlin, but it's a good example of the forward of the firewall and even behind the firewall, the works there. And over in the back there's the Vampire being worked on, and it looks like in the background a Tiger Moth. And look at all the gear up in the racks, all nicely presented, protected. Now this Hudson is a truly unique aircraft. It's the only flying Hudson in the world, and it's based here at Temora. Now where else can you go and see such an incredible lineup of aircraft that have been preserved and going to be flying? So it's another opportunity to come and visit museums like Temora and the others we've seen.
Well,
and this one, you've got really
girls.
excellent flying aircraft.
We're just about to start.
And here we have the A37 Dragonfly. These aircraft are airworthy, but they're obviously not in the flying display today. And here's a good look at the cannon for you. The rotary Gatling gun.
And the U's go other way.
Now here we are. This is the CAC Sabre. It was in the Air Force display team. It is flyable aircraft, but unfortunately at the moment it's not airworthy because the ejection seat made by Martin Baker is no longer being supported, and the Air Force and Temora are trying to find a replacement ejection seat for this aircraft. And another Dragonfly. And an 01 Bird Dog, this time from the Royal Thai Air Force. I was lucky enough to have a flight in our Bird Dog up at Caboolture, but unfortunately only a couple of months later, landing at Moree in northern New South Wales, a willy jumped up and the aircraft crashed and was written off. Luckily both crew members were okay, only a very slight injury, and that's a real shame, but it was a great aircraft to have a flight in. You might recall that I said the Meteor we flew in Korea actually achieved a MiG kill. And here's the pilot, Sergeant Hale, and his aircraft called Hailstorm, and with MiG killer on it, and it was the only MiG that was destroyed. He managed to destroy or to damage a second, but the Meteor unfortunately was starting to get old technology and was being replaced by the US Air Force with F-86 Sabres that could better control what happened with the advancements in the MiG. Here are Meteors on the deck of the HMS Unicorn in Singapore. They'll be unloaded there and flown direct to Korea. And you'll probably recall that I mentioned the Wirraway, which was a development then a 16 trainer. It was mainly used as a trainer in Australia, but it was also a frontline fighter. And here it shows you they're lined up with twin Vickers guns shot out by the observer at the back and a machine gun firing through the prop. They did actually destroy an Oscar, but I think that's the only one they ever shot down. They were greatly outclassed by the Japanese aircraft. Every couple of years there is the Warbirds Downunder Air Show. Again, where you're going to see a museum where all the aircraft are in flying condition. Okay, here we are up in the engineering hangar. Now I was right, it was a Tiger Moth down here. And there's the Vampire with its engine removed for overhaul. And obviously there's overhaul work taking place on the Spitfire down the back. And here's the Canberra. Such a beautiful aeroplane. It'll give you a good layout of, or idea of the layout and the workings here in the engineering hangar at Temora. There's the Martin Baker ejection seat. I don't know how far away they are from getting the new one for the Sabre, but until a new type of seat will be involved, we won't be able to see the Sabre flying, unfortunately. And it's a beautiful aeroplane to watch flying. I've seen it fly on a number of occasions. The Tiger Moth you see here is the oldest airworthy and flying Tiger Moth in Australia. In fact, it even served here at number 10 Elementary Flying Training School at Temora. So it's a genuine World War II antique. The Ryan is one of the aircraft that came from the Netherlands East Indies Air Force, now Indonesia. They received, I think, about 30 odd of them, and when the Japanese attacked, the ones that were still flyable came to Australia and then became part of the Royal Australian Air Force. I think about 20 or 30 of those aircraft made it to Australia and were flown by the RAAF. That is the sound of the Wirraway just in the front there starting up. Over in the distance in the background, the Harvard has always also started up, and we're now waiting for the Valiant to join in. Versus the Wirraway. If you listen to the Wirraway, there's the sound of a Wirraway.
CEOs from different challenge.
Now you can hear the difference in the sound of the two-bladed Harvard
and Ford aircraft. You can see the differences of accidents by being over-exuberant, shall we say. Yes, and they do have a fine accident once upon a time someone actually tapped into it. So this is an aircraft that was around in World War II and just another example. Basic training, so after things like swimming and the rhino and the fighter monster, but a really good step in terms of things that we're going to move on to more advanced planes, but it's still flying up in the relay and well, in America they have a hard
This Hudson, like most of the aircraft here at Temora, is a genuine World War II veteran. It was produced in 1939 in the US, served with a number of squadrons, including number 6 Squadron up in New Guinea. After all those ones we've seen under restoration, here's a little boomerang firing up.
Well, you didn't give a few to you and you could have brought them back for me.
The only flying Hudson anywhere in the world, accompanied behind, which you can't see at the moment, the boomerang, and the whistling sound is the air going over the gun ports of the boomerang. Here's the boomerang, and you can hear that howl from the wind over the gun ports.
It was very successful as an airliner and did have a number of records as well. Howard Hughes flew one around the world. Meteor firing up here, unfortunately not flying for us today. It's headed off on a currency flight for the pilot to keep him up to scratch.
Start again.
Start again. There you are. Here's a real treat for everyone. I've been able to come out here to have a look at this Hudson, the only flying Hudson anywhere in the world. It's with the Temora Aviation Museum, and it's one of the real reasons you guys need to come down here and have a look at aviation in Australia. Here we are in the Bombay. If you look, this aircraft's been completely restored. I think the chap behind it originally was a chap by the name of Malcolm Long. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yep, and a friend of mine, Ron Lee, is one of the guys who helped restore this aircraft to flying condition for Malcolm. And they're right cyclone engines, there we go. Have a look at those. You know, they're different to the 1830 that you guys have got in DTD and we've got in the Beaufort. But there's a close-up look for you of the Hudson. You just walk, see, guns at the top in the nose. And there you give you an idea of some of the panels, some of the workmanship that's been done on this aircraft. That's a different type of turret, the one I was talking about that we've just been restoring up in Caboolture. This is, we're restoring a Bristol Mark 1. This is probably an American turret. Would that be right?
I couldn't confirm or deny that.
Okay, so there you go, there's a look at the turret with twin machine guns, and that's was part of what the Brits did with ordering this aircraft in a hurry. Radio aerials, and I'll just stick this inside if you don't mind. And there we go, inside the last flying Hudson anywhere in the world. Now you're not going to see that anywhere. There's your photography, your for reconnaissance, your camera. Up in the aircraft. And it's been really well restored, this. I'm just going to stab myself on the aerial and my camera. There we go, up into the turret. There you go, thank you. Sorry, your name?
Peter.
Thanks, Peter, for bringing me out and let me have a look. I tell you now, the help I've had in every museum I've been to by the staff and that has been tremendous. You show a genuine interest and everyone will help you. So come down to Temora on one of their flying days or showcase days or when Warbirds Downunder is on, and you'll see all these magic aircraft flying. Thanks, Peter. Okay, we've even got a better treat. Peter is foolish allowed me to come up the cockpit, so I'll be spinning her up and taking off in a little while. So here we are, third person seat. We'll look through there into the glazed nose of the bomb aimer, which I assume is the navigator as well, is that right?
Yes.
Navigator as well down in there. So here, a 19, really probably late 30s, early 40s cockpit. It grew out of the airliner range of Lockheed aircraft that had been around for a while, and you can tell this is essentially an airliner from the windows, etc., but it was a really good stopgap for the Brits at the early part of the war, and that gives you a really good look at the cockpit of a genuine World War II aircraft and of the technology that was here. Thank you very much, Peter.
No problem.
Something a little bit different, aircraft devoted to the Royal Australian Navy. And you see up there, we started flying fixed-wing aircraft back in 1917, so the Fleet Air Arm in Australia is very old, nearly as old as the Central Flying School and the Australian Flying Corps. But here are the aircraft that were flown in those days.
Yeah, I just did one at work.
Although we saw many of these aircraft at the Fleet Air Arm Museum at Nowra, HMAS Albatross, it's just good to show them in a nice concise listing. I hope you've enjoyed your visit to Temora. Until next time.